Okay, this video is for people that want to go above and beyond with their boat race and create a second level, possibly challenge their players a little more. So how things stand right now, most students will create a game where you navigate through the maze. I'm just going to kind of cheat my game here and move my tiger right to the finish line here. I have it set up so that when I do move to this yellow pad here, as you can see in the code in the middle of my screen, it will display a message and then stop the game. Let's check. Hooray, 1,000 to 1,000, game stops. And that's all well and good, but let's say you would like to challenge your player to another level. We can do that by setting up a few extra lines of code and finding a image off the internet. So let's say my next level is going to be like an ice world or something. I just went to Google and found a suitable image and downloaded that to my iPad by tapping and holding, adding to photos. Back to scratch. To add a new backdrop, we have to click on Stage at the bottom right. We can click the Backdrops tab up in the middle left here. And then we can go to the bottom left of this screen and tap on New Background, and we can upload it from our iPad using this icon. We go into our photo library, and here's my Ice World image. I can get to work right away in setting up boundaries, using the paintbrush or the line tool, and creating interesting boundaries in my next maze. But for now, I'm just going to focus on how to program the game to move on to this next background. And you can go back and edit it later by tapping on Stage and going to the Backdrops tab once again. In my Backdrops tab, I'm going to tap on my first backdrop, which is my original backdrop that was my first maze. From here, I'm going to tap back to my tiger sprite and click on the Code tab to get back to my code. So now I have two backdrops, and I have to queue up a situation where when my player beats my first level, it switches to the next level or the next backdrop. So that's all going to happen in this little sequence here. So I'm going to bust that out of the forever loop for a moment and just focus on this section of the code. So we still want to set it up so that when our player reaches this yellow spot, I'm going to keep that say message for now, but get rid of the stop all because I don't want my game to end. I want it to move on now to a second level. So what I want it to do is say hooray, or maybe not hooray, but maybe get ready for level 2 or something like that, so that it kind of warns the player that something else is coming here. And the 2 seconds allows my player to take a breath, and the game does kind of pause for a moment, or 2 moments I should say, before it switches backdrops, and that's in the looks category of blocks. Switch backdrop 2, and my backdrop is just the name of the image off of Google that I downloaded, so it's some big ugly mess, but that's just what it was named on my iPad, so that's why it looks kind of crazy, but yours will display a little different depending on the file name of your image. So it's going to switch backdrop to that, and a couple other things I might want to consider are, do I want to bring my tiger sprite back to the bottom left again, or do I want to leave it where it is? If I don't make any changes, my tiger will just stay exactly where it is when the level switches. Oh, my code's not functioning because I need to put it back in the forever loop here. Let's start that again. Okay, so I get ready for level 2, and then my tiger just stays put, essentially. Well, starts moving once again, but stays put. So I don't know if that's a problem, or do you want to say take them back to the bottom left again? If you do, you might want to copy a block right above this one for me here, a go-to block. Those specific coordinates take me, I know, to the bottom left of the stage, and I would maybe set up level 2 to be the same. Maybe start at the bottom left and navigate around and end up somewhere else. Another problem I see is I still have this spinning sprite. And if I were to restart my game now, it's not going to switch back to my original backdrop. I had added a bit of code earlier, but if I were to, let's see what happens now. I win the game. I did add code so that it goes to the bottom left of my tiger here. But if I were to restart my game, I'm stuck on this backdrop. So another piece I want to add is at the top of this sequence, another switch backdrop block. But this is the first thing I want my game to do. When the flag is clicked, I want it to switch to the original backdrop, which for me is called photo 15165, whatever. Again, a crazy image name off the internet. So now when I click my flag, it goes to the tiger, or the jungle background. When I win the game, or win the first level, it takes me to the bottom left, and my sprite's still moving just fine. But I do have this problem of this sprite 1 it's called here, just kind of spinning away and not going away. If that's what you want, great, you can just leave it. Otherwise, you can come up with a solution sort of like what I'm going to do here, which is to send that sprite a message to hide itself. So a message is considered an event in Scratch, and a message is a behind-the-scenes message that you can send to another sprite to do certain things. It's different than saying something to the player. This is not something the player will ever see. It's just a background message to the sprite. So I'm adding this in this sequence here at the bottom to broadcast message 1. It's called to sprite 1. So I'm going to switch over to this spinning sprite here. And in the events here, I can say when I receive message 1, which gets sent when my player beats level 1, I can have this sprite hideaway, and that's in the looks blocks here. So let's test that out. My player gets to the end of level 1, switches to level 2, they're still moving, and my sprite 1 is now hiding away. One last issue to solve is if I were to restart my game, as you can see, my spinner is still hiding. So if I go back to sprite 1 here, I could fix that by adding a show block onto my original sequence here. So when the flag is clicked, show that spinner, but when my player beats level 1, broadcast a message to hide it away. And then from there, you're on your way to painting level 2, setting up boundaries, setting up another goal. You can repeat that whole process to create level 3, 4, 5, as many as you wish. Good luck.